I believe in two-phase ponding. One pond is not really good enough. This is my latest project. You can see I'm experimenting here and putting it into place. This is my latest project, and it's called what I call the bucket pond. I actually am utilizing 14 old 5-gallon pails that a friend of mine gave me, and they'll all be filled with dirt, and they form a long rectangle. This pond is a circular pond, and this pond is a rectangle pond. The width of this pond will be about 28 to 29 inches and about 10 feet long, which is about equivalent to the volume. It's maybe about 300 gallons. The difference is this pond here will be about 14 inches high, so it gives more depth. This pond here is about 11 and a half. This will be about 14 and a half inches high. I use construction builder's foam against the wall so that the liner, I'm going to have at least 3-4 layers of liner, and that will prevent any condensation or any kind of moisture from damaging the wall. But when these buckets are full of sand or gravel and they're placed in this pattern, it will be like a sandbag wall. It'll be strong enough to hold the liner in place, but obviously I'm not going to have the bucket showing. I have limited space in this room, so I'm going to use the concept. I'm going to cap off the buckets with an airtight material. Even though I'm using sand, I don't want the moisture to dry out I want at least 60 pounds of weight in each bucket. And I'm going to use the concept of drapery. I'm going to use earth tone drapery and earth tone fabric to cover that outside edge to make it kind of an earthy feeling. And then once my liner is in place, I'm going to do the essential aquascaping. But before I put any rocks or heavy items down on the liner, I'm going to put builder's foam under the heavy rocks, and then I'll put out a combination of artificial and fake plants in. And I'll also leave what I call, this is more than 2.5, almost about 28 inches wide, 29 inches wide, I'm going to leave what they call a service alleyway that I can walk down, so that if I have to, I can enter the aquarium and make adjustments or pull out a fish if it dies or gets sick. And the service alley will be roughly at least a foot in diameter, foot wide. So all my aquascaping is going to be on this portion right here. My aquascaping will go to about right here, and I'll have what I call the service alleyway, which will just basically be the gray liner, and that'll give that will serve two functions. It'll be a service alleyway that I can walk down to make adjustments in the aquarium, or if I have to do some kind of emergency repair, and it will give the fish more of an open transition. I want there to be the shoal against the wall, which is basically the sand, the places they can hide, where they can forage and kind of hide and nest down at night. And I want there to be the open sea where they have a chance to socialize and swim. This is my newest pond. This is what I'm going to call Pond 2, my pond number 2. This is a pond of greater depth. It's not quite as wide. It's not a circular pond. It's a longer pond with greater movement range. I'm going to primarily house larger goldfish in here. Maybe if I get lucky, I'll try a koi, but it's not really deep enough for a koi. They grow pretty quick. But I'm going to primarily focus. This pond here is going to be primarily focused on goldfish, and I'm not concerned so much about quantity but quality of life. So I might stock a maximum of maybe 10 or 12 goldfish in here, max. That's about it. And I'm only going to focus on the development and the care of goldfish in this particular pond. So this is my goldfish pond. And this is my goldfish and minnow pond. And I will have at least 2 filter pumps, probably about somewhere between 3 and 4 filter pumps when it's all finished, that will be suspended from a ceiling support and protected thoroughly with moisture barriers or whatever, and create waterfall effects that have opposite draw point filtration. I will also incorporate at least 2 air pumps. Same principle, 8-channel aeration. Each air pump will run basically half the tank or the pond. This air pump here, the top fin air pump, will run this portion, and this air pump here will run this portion. I'll have the air stones placed in a symmetrical pattern that will provide aeration, that is a semicircular aeration pattern around the outer ring of the tank or the pond. This will be my outlet here, which is obviously GFCI protected, but I put an adapter in to give me more plug space, and all the cords will be drip loop protected or run vertically upwards to prevent any kind of contact with the wet environment. This is the foundation. This is the rudimentary development of my pond, and I've tested my design, believe it or not, outside in the field. So I know it's going to work, but I work all day as a handyman and a painter, so I don't have a lot of time to really put this together. The stage 1 was the measurement, and now I have the dynamics, so I get a sense of how it's really going to fit in the room. So the next stage will be tomorrow night. I'm going to fill the buckets with sand and gravel. It's going to be a big job, and I'll fill them with sand and gravel, and then I'll actually put the liner in. And then at that point, I'm going to take the more of this building material and put the heavy rocks in there with the over 1.5-inch foam board. The heavy stuff will actually go on foam board, and there'll be 4 layers of industrial liner. And then the following night I'll do the aquascaping, and then on the 4th night I'll actually fill it with water. And at that point I will turn the filter pumps on, which I've installed, run the air, and cycle it for a minimum of 72 hours. So probably by Monday of next week I'll be ready to introduce some live fish to the pond. Anyway, thank you for watching my latest edition of Save the Minnows 39. This is Pond 1, the goldfish and the minnows, which is enhanced by my artificial brick wall. And this is the future site of Pond 2, which is still under construction and still in its early phase of development. This pond is now in its infancy. I'm actually establishing the rudimentary foundation for it, and the foundation will be solidified when I add dirt and gravel to it tomorrow evening. And then I will, put the liner in and aquascape it, eventually put the filter pumps in, and then add the water in, cycle it, and then sometime next week I will be introducing live fish. Thank you for watching Save the Minnows 39. Hope everybody has a great Labor Day weekend, by the way.